I spent hours building a woohoo retreat in The Sims 4, and today I want to show you how I made it. I was sort of inspired by that Love Island themed getaway that comes in Adventure Awaits, and in that one it's kind of like a bachelor style romance elimination competition, but that kind of got me thinking that like maybe we could have a retreat where all the Sims do is just woohoo each other. Unfortunately, we do have to evict these people so I can steal their house and build it here on this lot, and I didn't notice this before, but the lot is backwards on the map preview. I don't know if you can see this, but like this thing right here is actually the dock. So it should be like flipped around in the preview image because the water is supposed to be on this side, but they did it wrong. But see, look, it's like flipped around. Doesn't matter, I'm gonna bulldoze the lot anyway. But I did think that was interesting when I first saw it. Oh, and there's like a weird visual glitch with this too. Oh my God, this lot is a mess. But I wanted to build it here because this one is partially on the water. There's not many lots in The Sims 4 that are over water like this. There's 2 in Gibby Point and then a handful in Sulani with Island Living. But I like these ones in Gibby Point because they're kind of a different vibe. It sort of is like a lake house more than like a beach house. So I was thinking we could build a really fancy cabin with a lot of bedrooms and a lot of woohoo spots, and then we'll call that our woohoo retreat. Also, this terrain paint, just so you know, that's on the ground as well. I didn't put that there. It can't be deleted. It also can't be erased. And annoyingly, it's kind of hard to fix it also with grass because we don't really have any grass that matches the grass that's on this lot by default. So this is one of those times where we just love The Sims 4. So that's cool. Don't you just love The Sims 4? Our perfect game that never has any issues. Anyway, I don't want to spoil anything too much, so don't look at that too closely. But I want to show you the schedule preset that I made for this. Oh my God, hold on. I think I need to place it again. The custom venues are kind of weird. You need to like have the lot type be custom venue and then download the lot, and hopefully now it should load. Yeah, okay. Now it will load the schedule preset. So what I've got going on here, we have 8 guests. There's a chef who will cook food for us. There's a staff member that like cleans and does stuff like that around the lot. And there's also a bartender who will work the bar for us. Everybody has breakfast around 7 a.m. I've got the guests set to eat, woohoo, kiss, and also be romantic. Then we mix and mingle at 10 a.m. This will have Sims bond, cuddle, and try to build romantic relationships. Then they do water activities around 3. Mostly I want them to use the hot tub, but they also like swim in the ocean and stuff. Then they have dinner at 6 p.m. And then at 9 p.m. it's just set to woohoo. I have woohoo turned on for all of these times as well. But kind of what I was hoping would happen is they would sort of get to know each other a little bit during the day and then autonomously woohoo at night. When I play tested it, they did lots of flirting. They did a fair bit of kissing. Nobody woohooed autonomously. I don't really know if that was my fault or what, but I did not have good luck with any autonomous woohoo when I tried it out for myself. But I did play here with my sim, and I had him woohoo everybody in the entire house, including the employees. So I still had a good time. Even though the other sims weren't woohooing each other, I made the best of a bad situation and I had fun. Okay, so now you kind of can visualize the plan a little bit more. I want to jump into the speed build now and show you how we actually did it. Starting with me slowly trying to figure out the shape of the building. And I think this one took me a little while in the beginning just because I had a long list of things that I wanted to include and honestly not that much space. It's a pretty big lot, but so much of it is water that we have a little bit less room than it might initially seem. And I wanted to have a pool and all these hot tubs and outdoor space. We need to have bedrooms for more than 8 Sims. We want to have a kitchen and like living room. You know, there's just a long list of things that I need to fit into this area. So I struggled a bit with how I was gonna lay it all out. I actually tried a couple different versions of this building and I bulldozed more than once when I was building it on stream. I always feel bad when I do that when I'm live because I think that it's valid to bulldoze your build and just like try again from scratch, because even those ones that I deleted, I was learning what I wanted out of them, right? Like I was kind of trying to figure out the vibes, but I feel so bad like starting to build something in front of people and then being like, you know what? Nope. Scratch the whole thing. But this is actually our 3rd attempt, this version you're looking at right now. And weirdly, I'm building it from the back, which is a little bit different than how I normally build in this game, but this is the back of the lot that we're starting with, and we're gonna work on the front later on. But I figured in this case, the back was kind of the most important because this is like the beautiful view. We have the water. This is what really matters, and then we can make the front work later. Plus, the front has bad lighting. It's all in shadows. So it was nicer to build from this angle anyway. And you can kind of see the shape came together really quickly, and that's because it was my third time doing it. So if you think, wow, she built that fast. Yeah, well, I'm being sneaky here because it actually took me a while to get to this point. Couple of standout things, I guess, are this really cool double-decker porch that we have in the back. We've got a long dock that goes out into the water. We have a few different balconies and things. And also we have a second story pool on that far right side. The reason that I did that, I mean, it looks cool, but it wasn't my initial first choice. I wanted to have an in-ground pool, but I forgot that because this lot is on the water, you cannot have anything in the ground. It doesn't let you. So you can't place a regular pool on the first floor. You also can't put it on a foundation. You can't put it on a platform. You cannot have a pool on the first floor. It's not possible. So what I had to do instead was like raise it up to the second floor. And then I put the new glass walls around the outside, which I think actually looks pretty cool. It kind of has like a fancy infinity pool vibe to it in the end, which is probably better than it being in the ground. It's like a more interesting architectural detail. But I had a hard time figuring out how I wanted to put things around it. Like we wanted to have a pool deck, and because it was on the second floor, it had to be kind of a weird shape. And I was trying to think like, do we want to put a roof up here? So it just, again, with the trial and error, it took me a second to figure out how to do that. I also really wanted to have columns on all the sides of those things because I put these like big stone pillars. Would have loved to have had columns there. Didn't work out because you can't put columns inside of the pool. It doesn't let you. So I have columns on all of the walls, all the corners, except for the interior one because you can't put it in the middle of the pool. But you mostly won't see that. It's like very rare that you'll notice that detail. It's just kind of unfortunate because it's always those little things, those like little details, the one place you can't put something that it just like stands out in my brain. It's the only place that I want to have it and I can't. So I just stare at those inner column corners that I don't have. But anyway, back behind that, we've got a pretty nice second floor balcony area. I ended up putting some lounge chairs and stuff on there. We have a couple like 2-story high fancy column details supporting the roof. There's lots of wood accents and the stone details going on there. And it's actually kind of a symmetrical, like simple shape, to be honest with you. It isn't like the most wacky thing I've ever built, but I feel like it works out for what we needed. It has that sort of cabin energy to it. The front is especially wacky. So this is where I'm gonna try and start thinking about that because I put it off for so long and then I was like, oh boy, here we go, trying to figure out how to fix the front side. But it gets there. Again, just trust the process, trial and error with this too. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but I actually built this lot on release day of Adventure Awaits. This is like what I did on stream when it came out. But I've built so many things that I was proud of on stream lately that I kept like pushing this speed build and now it's been a couple of months and I haven't posted it yet, but we're finally here. This was like my Adventure Awaits release party though, because I figured like what better way to celebrate the pack coming out than to build a woohoo retreat, right? This was also one of the first builds that I did with more than just Adventure Awaits because at this point I had built a few things using just Adventure Awaits and the base game, but now I finally had the other packs and so I could use all my other woohoo spots. Like I wanted to wait to build this until we had other pack content so I could put like the closet woohoo, the blanket, you know, the sauna, all of those kind of things I wanted to include here. And so I was kind of like saving it for a special day, and release day was that special day. A couple of other kind of interesting things that I tried in the front there and then ended up deleting. I was trying to have more platforms and like more foundations because I wanted to have a staircase access from the front up to that upstairs pool deck because I want to access it from the inside and the outside. So I was just trying to do a few things to make the staircase look a little bit nicer. None of them worked. So it ends up just being on the ground like that. And then I went in and I put in the very beginnings of our landscaping. We aren't gonna do all the landscaping yet, but I wanted to put a little bit of it in just because it helps me to visualize if I needed to have anything else outside. And so we're starting with some of the debug plants from Adventure Awaits. I really like this low-lying plant from Debug. It's very similar to one from Jungle Adventure, but it's like it almost looks more like clay. The Jungle Adventure one is a little bit more wispy looking. I don't know if that makes sense. But I started by putting all of those down, and then later on we'll go back in and add like way more plants to fill it up and make it a little bit taller. But that sort of helped me just to see if this made sense and if it all fit. I also found this kind of interesting front gate thing from Adventure Awaits and Debug. I don't put a fence around the whole lot because it's kind of close to the edge. It wouldn't really fit, but I did put that one just in the front. It almost looks like the Horse Ranch and Cottage Living ones, but it's from Debug instead, and it's like kind of matches this stuff a bit better. It doesn't have the right wood color, but we're gonna try to ignore that and see if we can make it work anyway, because I was kind of sad about that, but I'm just not gonna dwell on it. I did have kind of a hard time landscaping the back because it's really close to the edge of the water, and obviously I don't want to put plants in the water, but I think it looks okay with how it is. We have a couple of dormers up top, and I struggled with those too because I wasn't sure if they should be centered with the roof or with the building. And if I point it out to you, it's gonna probably bother you now because it might have been not noticeable before, but they're actually centered with the roof line instead of the building. So they don't quite line up with the columns that are supporting the balconies, but I think it looked more balanced that way. I tried them centered with the columns and it actually looked worse. It looked like kind of empty on one half of it. So this was better, I promise. But just trust me on that. I'm putting in some extra pine trees now too. Those big ones that we have are actually from Outdoor Retreat. And then I used a bunch of Horse Ranch windows and doors everywhere because Horse Ranch matches this so well. Horse Ranch and Adventure Awaits go together pretty well. Honestly, and Outdoor Retreat does too. But Outdoor Retreat isn't really good for building, just in general. It doesn't really have anything in it. So I wouldn't say it goes well with most things just because it doesn't even go well with itself. But it's got some landscaping. I put those. Some people in my Twitch chat at the time were a little bit bothered by how many doors I have on those balconies. They were like, why do you need so many doors? And fair enough, I have 3 doors kind of in a row onto the balconies. And I think that in The Sims you don't need that, but in real life, it's relatively common to have stuff like that. There's just like rows and rows of doors, sometimes across like a big fancy balcony. Even in hotels they do that. It's kind of nice to have lots of exterior exits, so it's kind of just like a fancy window. It's an upgraded window that opens fully. Let's call it that instead. Sims happen to be able to walk through it. And then I put some tiny windows in between them too. I was also trying to use these like little Horse Ranch awnings above some of the windows. I wasn't sure if I really loved the look of them, but it was okay, and I liked having the dimensions, so I added those too. And now we're gonna slowly try to figure out the floor plan of this place. This was really hard because we had a very long to-do list of stuff that I wanted to fit in. I was also trying to find a place to put the hot tub. I originally wanted it to be by the pool, but I forgot that you can't put it up there by the pool because it would like go into the lower floor, so I couldn't fit it. I had to find somewhere else to put the hot tub. I also deleted, and I probably shouldn't have done this because this takes up a lot of space, but I deleted the floor in the middle of almost the entire upstairs so it could be open to the downstairs, and I thought it looked so pretty like that to have this like super cool 2-story living area, but it did limit our space for bedrooms. So I think we managed to get 4 bedrooms upstairs, and then we probably have another, honestly, 5 or 6 bedrooms downstairs because we have the employee space. There's 4 employees, plus I've got, I think, 8 double bedrooms so that every single one of the people who are on vacation here can have their own double bed. I was really trying to be cautious of that because I've noticed in my own gameplay before that if you've got a sim that has claimed a double bed, the other sims will not woohoo in that double bed, which is kind of strange to say, but at least not autonomously, because they will do it. Like, you might have sims in your household and you might like have, you know, 2 sisters living together and one sister like goes and woohoos in their sister's bed with their college boyfriend. I've had that happen and it kind of icks me out a little bit, but that's usually when I, the player, am saying, okay, woohoo. And I don't say where to woohoo, so they just go somewhere. It could be the shower, it could be the bed. That's when they'll woohoo in somebody else's bed. But when I've had issues with autonomy is when I've done these like Sims Unpause streams where I leave my game running for 24 hours straight. And I'm not exaggerating, like 24 real life hours. And I do a lot to set it up to try and let them do stuff on their own so we can just watch them, kind of like a dollhouse basically. I've made a couple videos on them before. If you want to go back, you can just search like lilsimsie 24-hour unpause or something. It probably will come up. But I try and make clubs where the activities are like flirting and woohooing and fighting, maybe like using the telescope, just so I can try to direct their behavior a little bit better, because clubs are a very effective tool for influencing autonomy. And when everybody's in a woohoo club, they will not woohoo in double beds. I've never seen them do it autonomously. I've tried. I've done this like maybe 4 times. So we have like 100 hours of gameplay testing doing this. They've never used the double bed. Or maybe like one person will and then nobody else will after them because they've claimed it, they've used it. But they will autonomously woohoo in showers. They'll woohoo in the sauna well, that was broken for a while, but I think it's supposed to be fixed now. But anyway, all of that to say, I wanted to make sure we had enough double beds so that all of them could have their own if some of them got like ruined or like tainted by people woohooing in them. But I also have some extra woohoo spots. I think there's like 8 different woohoo spots here between like the outhouses and the bushes and things, but I'll point them out when I see them. Right now we're starting to furnish the kitchen, and I feel like the kitchen was kind of the defining factor for all of the other interior house style. Once I did this, I kind of had the vibe down for what the rest of the place would look like. And I guess this place isn't really like a hotel because it is just an open kitchen. It kind of is like a house. It has more bed and breakfast vibes because it is just a home that people stay in more than like a public space hotel, because in a hotel setting, this kitchen probably wouldn't be open to the public, and it also probably wouldn't look like a home's kitchen. But I was thinking of this being more like a really fancy mansion that is being used for the Woohoo TV show or the, you know, Love Island TV show. So it still has a normal kitchen, it has a normal dining room, and that's kind of all on this half. We have the kitchen here and the dining table directly in front of it. And I was going for a lot of like wood colors, reds, and blacks with like some stone accents around the place. And I'm ashamed to admit that I probably used 1,000,000 packs in this build. I might have even used all of them. Not all the kits, but like I might have used almost all the expansion packs because I wanted to have everything I could find that was related, and that results in this place not being a limited pack build. I went a little bit overboard. But while we are doing this, I feel like now might be a good time for me to drop in a little life update, as I tend to do in these speed build videos. So here we are. I get a lot of questions about Snap, my elderly cat. So I figured I would just let you know how she's doing. She's fine. I mean, she's very sick, but she's not sicker than she was the last time you heard from me. So nothing has like drastically changed in that department. We're still giving her the IV. Obviously, she's gonna be having fluids twice a week for the rest of forever now, but she's taking it really well. I feel like I've probably talked about this a little bit in my videos, but I was really scared the first time we had to give her the fluids. It was like kind of traumatizing for me, to be honest. I really did not enjoy that. But now we've been doing it for a few months. It's kind of become more of the routine. Like, it's getting a little bit easier. She kind of likes it, not because she likes the needle, but she gets a treat when she has the IV, and so she associates the IV stand coming out with her getting a treat. I have like a full size, it's a human just IV stand. It's a human sized IV bag, like it's just an IV stand, but we keep it like off in the dining room. And when I bring it up to the couch for her to get her IV, she like stands up and starts yelling, getting all excited, because she now knows that when she sees that, she'll get the treat. And that makes it a lot easier for us. Like, she's kind of trained herself to like it. She does, I think, notice when she gets poked with it. She kind of flinches a little bit, but she's so into the treat and like eating the treat that she doesn't really care. So thank God it has been like super fine to give her the fluids. I was so scared because I've heard of a lot of people having a lot of issues giving their cats fluids, and like it, you know, they need them. She needs this to help her. It helps her feel better. It's like helping to mitigate her kidney disease a little bit. It won't cure it. There is no cure, but it can help with the symptoms of it. And it can also help to like prolong her life because she needs more fluids. So it's a necessary evil, but for her, thankfully, I don't think that she finds it evil. She actually kind of enjoys it, thankfully. So that's been good. But otherwise, she is okay. And the other 2 cats are also okay. Everyone's doing all right, aside from, you know, the things that are already not all right with them. But there's your little cat update. And I've decided I'm going to try to include one positive thing in all of my speed builds that I've been enjoying recently. And so my big positive this week is that I have almost read 100 books this year. I just finished my 98th book this year. I read 112 last year, so I'm a little bit off track to beat myself from last year, but that's okay. It's not a contest. But I just read a book called Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. It's set in the 90s in a small Irish village, and it's about growing up and like adolescence and being gay in a small town. I thought it was a very, very well done book. I think you would probably enjoy it, so I wanted to mention it here in this video. And that leads me to my question for today. What have you been reading lately? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm always down for more book recommendations, and I'm open to anything. If you've got genre, doesn't really matter too much to me, although I'm not a huge fan of horror books. I'll be honest. I really like to read historical fiction. I love a good romance book from time to time. And I'm kind of in a bit of a fantasy slump right now, but I might be getting back. But I'm just so curious, like what are you all reading lately? Let me know. My husband Dan just read the Divergent books for the first time, which I read when I was in high school, like when they came out, like, you know, what? Oh, Jesus. 11 years ago or something, when I was a freshman, 12 years ago. The Divergent books, I think they traumatized me. I am not a fan of those books just because it was because of when I read them. I think that also of that era of like dystopian YA books, Divergent are some of the worst out of all of them. No offense, Veronica, I love you, great author, but not my favorite of that genre. And this was my own fault, okay? But when I was 14, picture this, okay? My dad goes in for his bone marrow transplant. My parents had to go to Tampa to be in the hospital for over a month at this time. My grandparents were staying with us to take care of me and my siblings while he was in the hospital. And in the span of 1 week, I read The Fault in Our Stars, book about cancer, not a very happy read. Fantastic book, but like, again, you know, context, not the best time to do it. And then I read all 3 Divergent books in a row, like one of them each day. Monday Divergent, Tuesday Insurgent, Wednesday Allegiant. And those books end terribly. So it was just like, I remember I finished reading Allegiant, I put it down, and I had to go into the shower and like sob hysterically. I do not have fond memories of reading Divergent, but he just read those. I don't think he liked them that much, but I think it was a fun journey for him to get to read. Anyway, sorry, the build. Okay, so we've furnished now at this point the bar area and also the living room downstairs. I was trying to have a lot of different hangout spaces here. So we have like a fireplace and the TV, there's some board games. I have that Who's Up party games thing from Lovestruck, so you can play like the little card game. I wanted to have a big bar. I had a hard time figuring out what bar back and like what style of bar to put, but I settled on just the base game bar, and I think is that the one from the Cozy Bistro kit, the bar back? Oh, I'm changing it. Okay, I still haven't decided what I want. I think I liked it better before. Put it back, Kayla, I liked it. Oh no, I'm making it smaller. Wow, that's actually really funny. I liked how it looked. It's funny when your past self makes decisions that you wouldn't make today, you know? Oh, okay, I switched it to the Lovestruck bar. Maybe that's better because it is kind of a key walkway in the house. So it being smaller is good because you can walk around it. That's probably why I made that decision in the first place. That would be my guess about that one. Okay, but anyway, we're starting to work on the bedrooms now. You'll notice that I actually cut out some footage of me doing the bathrooms. I tried to make all the bathrooms pretty much the same. They have just like a stone floor, some tile. I tried to put a bunch of bathtubs, and there are also showers so that you can woohoo in the showers. And then the bedrooms are also almost exactly the same. They just have a little bit of different size beds in them. On the upstairs, on the far left or right, depends which way you're facing, I guess. On one of the far sides of the upstairs, we have some single beds. That's because we have those 4 employees, so they need a place to sleep. But I guess also your own sim could sleep there if they wanted to. And then all the other bedrooms have their bed set up. Most of them have a double bed, a fireplace, a dresser. I tried to put bookshelves in some of them. I also put the costume kit. There's like that costume thing from Lovestruck. I put that in because that's kind of fun to have them walking around wearing like eggplant costumes. So I put a couple of those both in the bedrooms and just like out and about in the hallway. And now that I think about it, I don't think there are actually enough bedrooms for every single sim to have a double bed. I think some people have to sleep in single beds, and I misremembered how big the house is. But this room, this downstairs room, is like the fanciest double bedroom. It's kind of like on Love Island how they have the hideaway, where it's like one private space and you can go and sleep in there. Well, this is the hideaway. So I put the bear rug in front of a fireplace so you could woohoo on that. There's the vibrating heart bed from Lovestruck in here in this like horrible cheetah print pattern. There's also another costume trunk in here. There's some artwork. And this one also has its own little balcony space in the very front, and I put an extra hot tub there. So I think in total there are 2 hot tubs on this lot. Plus there's also the pool. They can water in all 3 of those, and they can, wait. Did I say they could water in them? They could woohoo in all 3 of those types of water. And they can also woohoo, what am I saying? They can also water in the woohoo. No, they can woohoo in the water outside. I can't even, I'm losing it today apparently. But there's open water, and with Adventure Awaits, they can woohoo just like in the lake, in the back. When I played here, I tried to claim this hideaway room as my own, as the player who was like spending time on the lot. So you can do that for yourself. I think that's kind of fun though, because sometimes with certain sims, like even when I play University, for example, sometimes I want my sim to have the best room, and I'll like claim a single bedroom and like super decorate it for myself to be alone for just me. And other times I'll pick like a shared room that's much smaller. I've got a roommate and I'm like trying to have it be worse on purpose. So in this place, there's a bunch of different types of bed settings you could have. You could sleep in a single bed, You can sleep in the solo fancy hideaway bedroom. It's up to you. And then on the outside, I've added a couple of extra things in the stair landing now. We have a giant fish rug downstairs. There's some games tables. On the balconies, I tried putting like some benches. I was testing out putting chess tables. I tried putting some dining tables. I was thinking about putting a grill. We do, in the end, I think, have at least one easel and also another telescope so that your Sims could possibly die. I know I have a fire pit. There's some dining tables off on the side. So there's just hopefully a lot of different places for you to hang out. Because I was thinking, like, on the TV show Love Island, there would be lots of places that were like kind of private that you could pull off to the side to have a chat, as they might say. We could go for a chat. They could go for a chat by the fire pit, go for a chat by the dining table. You know, there's options. So I tried to have that here as well. I also cut this out, but there are a couple of supply closets inside, so you can woohoo in those supply closets. I added a woohoo bush on the outside, which we'll get to now. Over here on this far side, there's also an outhouse, so they can woohoo in the outhouse. I added a dumpster in, so they could woohoo in that dumpster outside. I mean, I managed to successfully, when I played on this lot, when I was playtesting it, I woohooed with 8 different people in 8 different places. And I think that is the key. It's almost like a fun challenge, though, to try to woohoo in every single woohoo spot when you come here. You might not be able to have a fun autonomous woohoo time, but you could at least make it fun for yourself. And I did this in my Very Veggie Legacy Challenge because I was kind of trying to see if my sim could get risky woohoo pregnant while I was doing it. And I actually did not manage to. 10% risky woohoo. I woohooed with 10 different people. Did not get pregnant. Granted, not all of them could get me pregnant. I think only like 4 of them could. But I'm surprised that we didn't get pregnant from not doing this. This is gonna sound so unhinged, but in my Very Veggie Legacy Challenge, I'm on the eggplant generation. And so I have a sim called Greg Plant, who always wears an eggplant costume, like 24/7. He's in the romance consultant career. He's also evil, and his life goal is to be a villainous Valentine and have like a bunch of horrible breakups and get caught cheating all the time. But basically this place was perfect for him. He needed this. But anyway, that is the full speed build complete. What I want to do now is pop back into the game and give you a tour of the finished product so you can see some stuff that I cut out and also kind of see it a little bit more slowly. Because when it's sped up, it's like zooming around so quickly. But here's kind of a reminder of what that schedule looks like. And then this is what the lot looks like when you first walk in. So in the very front up here, I put a little fire pit. This is actually the bonfire thing from the base game. I liked that being right at the entrance. So you could go to the right and get into that fancy suite bedroom, or over to the left and get upstairs to the pool. If you go around the full side of the lot, over here kind of tucked away in the corner, we have the dumpster that I was telling you about. And then in the very back, we also have a bush, so you can woohoo in the bush. This dock is fun because they can actually jump off of this and like do backflips and things off of the dock if they wanted. They can kayak. Back here we have a fire pit, a hot tub, a bench for stargazing, and also this is a couple tables and a grill so they can cook some food. On this back area, these are all just tables, and then these are just chairs upstairs. I kind of wanted to have a few different ways that you could sit and look out at the view because the water here, it's so pretty across from the building. And this one's like a really cool 2-story covered space. It's a little bit more simple. There's just a trash can there, but you can get down from here and then access the water this way if you wanted to as well. And then all the way around this side, this is where the outhouse is. You can also woohoo in the outhouse, and you can pee in it if you need to go to the bathroom. So there's a toilet here, and we have the bush to pee in over there, technically. But this is what the inside looks like. Here's kind of like a top-down overview of the ground floor. The front porch has a couple of chess tables. I actually put them in front of the doors. I did that on purpose because I feel like that would happen in real life. It kind of almost has Cracker Barrel energy, and I don't really mean that in a positive way. I don't really mean to promote Cracker Barrel, but you see how they've got like all these big windows? Imagine if those were doors and they've just got like rocking chairs in front of them. We're channeling Cracker Barrel with the front porch. But then when you come in, this is the front door. There's kind of like a little sitting area right here. I have a giant fish rug. There's a piano with some candles. We've got another chess table. And if you go over to the left, over this way, this is the first bathroom. This one's just kind of in the middle. Everybody can access this. There's a costume trunk. We have the kitchen that I was showing you earlier. And then this is the dining room. It's a pretty big table with like a fireplace next to it. Also over here, we've got a bunch of bookshelves, a supply closet you can woohoo in, and then 2 more bedrooms. This one has 2 single beds in it. This one's got a double bed. This is kind of like a nice fancy bedroom. And there's 1 more bathroom at the hallway end down here. And then all the way on this side, if you go through this little archway, we have the bar that I made a little bit too small in the end. Funnily enough, it looks like it has 3 bar stools. It actually only has 2 that are technically functional. This one is like sneakily alt placed in there. Doesn't affect any gameplay, but your Sims cannot sit in that chair. They can only sit in these 2 chairs. I just thought it looked better to have the third one in there. There is another double bedroom right here and another bathroom in this hallway. And then this is that like really fancy suite. I kind of thought about giving them an ensuite bathroom, but I decided that it probably wasn't worth it just because we only had so many bathrooms and there's so many Sims. We don't need to have one of them be private. But in this fancy bedroom, they have just a little bit of decor, you know, bear rug and then also their own hot tub. And over here at the very far end, we have the living room. So they've got like some board games and some decor and the fireplace and everything. Nice place to hang out in here. I liked this because this is actually kind of like a custom TV stand. It's a base game counter and an eco lifestyle table that I slotted in so it looks like it's got legs. But I think that's an appropriate scale for the size of the TV and the size of the room. And then if you come upstairs, you can see down to that bottom floor from here, which is kind of cool. There's 2 more single bedrooms over here. So we've got 4 beds on this half. They're the same, just mirrored. And then we've got 2 more double bedrooms, also the same over here. And there's a bathroom between them. And then this is like the games room I was talking about. So we have things like Don't Wake the Llama. You could play cards. You could do puzzles. There's a dartboard. This is probably kind of dangerous because people are going to be walking in this direction and you're just going to be throwing darts right where they're going to walk, but we've got a dartboard and then you can access the pool from this games room. We have a few lounge chairs and also a diving board and then the big pool area. So that is the whole place. I didn't put anything in these top 2 rooms because they were kind of out of the way and like in the roof, so I didn't use them. We also have no basement because you can't put basements on these lots either. Look, even if you want to, you can't try because you can't build below ground on waterfront lots at all. Not with pools, not with basements, none of it. But that's okay, because we have plenty of space. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun building this. It's so silly, and it looks pretty too. When you think woohoo retreat, I feel like you picture it being a little bit more chaotic than this, but it doesn't look so in your face woohoo themed. Like you could stay here for a different kind of retreat and not even realize that originally it was supposed to be a woohoo place. And I think that hopefully that's good. It'll like look nice in your saves. But I will stop yapping in your ear now. Let me know in the comments what books you're reading. I'm so curious. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Oh, just so you know, I'm like revving up for my Christmas videos. I'm starting to think about building snowy lots. I might do like one more fall build before Thanksgiving, and then we are locked in to building in the snow. I cannot wait. I would have done one right now, but I think I need to pace myself better.